Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. You're around the shoots, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast, a production of TSC Entertainment. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Hey everyone, welcome to Texas Toast, and welcoming a very special guest today to the podcast that I've been looking forward to, and it's Trent Willmon. Hello, Trent. Welcome.
Hello, Helen.
To give you my background and how I got to know you was basically I had worked in radio for many, many years, morning show host, and also would preview music. And I was always the person that when we would get new releases of new music in, I always wanted to flip over that when we used to get CDXs on the real CD, flip it over and see who the songwriter was. And you have gifted us with so many songs, and we'll get into your library of songs that you've written plus songs that you've released and albums. But it looks like to me that your humble beginnings and growing up in you were born in Amarillo and raised in that area working on the ranch.
Right. I was born in Amarillo, and I was raised in Dickens County, Texas, and just a wonderful part of the world. I love it. I still think of that as home. Just the best people in the world. It's a really agriculture based, a lot of ranching and farming, and the people that are there, just the salt of the earth.
And of course, your first plan was you attended South Plains College, you majored in animal science. What was the plan there?
Yeah, animal science. I still love animals. I love I loved science and biology, and I guess my goal was I was going to be an ag teacher or maybe a county ag agent, and because I'd grown up doing 4-H and FFA, and it was such a huge part of my childhood growing up. So that was sort of my goal, and then I realized I was going to have to pass college algebra. So I joined a band, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that algebra will always get you. When you were in FFA, what were some of the projects that you raised?
Well, I tried to do a little of everything. The real reason I started out earlier into 4-H was because my mom wanted me to do public speaking, and she got both me and my brother into public speaking, and I hated it. I was not good at it. My brother was spectacular, and so I did learn how to get in. I got better at it. I still feel like I'm horrible at it, but that's how we kind of got into it. So everything that sort of all the projects that you do that sort of helps. Like we did, when you do livestock judging, you got to give reasons and stand in front of judges. And so anything that I was doing, I ran for some offices and 4-H and FFA, and I was chapter president, and I got to be on the state 4-H council, and that public speaking really came in super handy. And so that was I feel like I still use some of those things today. And I showed cattle at Houston Livestock Show and various things. So I did as much stuff as I could through 4-H and FFA, just so I didn't have to work on the ranch. It was a lot more fun to go hang out with other kids, my age.
Right.
And,
right. And talking about 4-H and the public speaking, that's like I work closely in our area with 4-H and FFA. My kids were involved and they did the fair stuff and all that. But the thing is, it's like, I've told a lot of parents are like, well, we don't have a farm and we don't have a ranch and we can't raise animals, but there's so many other opportunities with the different competitions, and it's not just about that. It is about that, but that it opens up such a variety of activities and competitions for the youth to get involved in. And I was actually a FFA booster mom officer, whatever. But yeah, those are good times, really good times. So I think I think that upbringing kind of molded you into the musician and the songwriter that you are today. I mean, all of your songs hit such a chord, and I'm like all over the place with you, Trent, because I'm just kind of like enamored because I can't believe I'm getting to actually interview. I think I had you on my radio show many, many years ago, like maybe when Beer Man came out, which was your first album back in 2004.
Right.
So that was, your first major album. But let me back up. Once you got to Nashville, this was one thing I didn't know about you. I didn't know about the band Cow Camp with Granger in it.
Right. Yeah, we had a band. So I was writing at Seagill Music, which is part of EMI at the time, and this is my first publishing deal. Brad Paisley and Frank Rogers and Kristen Boss started a publishing company, and I was their first writer. So I was writing songs at the publishing company, and it was a little frustrating because I really didn't, I was writing songs and pitching them to other artists, but I didn't really have an outlet to, for these songs. And I'd always really, I was always a side guy. I played bass or guitar for somebody else, and so we started this band. There's a little honky tonk about an hour south of Nashville. And it was the only real dance hall anywhere close to Nashville. It was like a Texas dance hall. And we started this band. We were the house band there for about 3 years. And that was sort of my outlet for this music that I was writing every day. And so Clint Ingersoll was in the band, and Granger asked us. He said, "Man, I want to be in your band." I said, "Granger, we've already got 3 guitar players." He goes, "I'll learn to play steel guitar," and I'll be doggone. I think he took like 3 lessons, and he bought himself a steel guitar, and he showed up, and he was great.
Oh,
And so Granger had also moved up here, and that's how I met him. He started writing for EMI, and so he played steel for us, and we had this great band, and we played shuffles. We'd make a shuffle out of songs that weren't shuffles just to have a shuffle, and it was just a great 2-stepping crowd down there, and that's how we kind of all cut our teeth playing live. Was at this little honky tonk. It's called Mama's Country now, and it was where they I think Garth Brooks and Chris Ledoux shot a video there years ago. Called $5 Fine for Whining. So that's the honky tonk where we had the house band gig, and so that's where that was the first time I played Beer Man, was at this honky tonk, and so eventually that's how I ended up getting my record deal. Was people would start coming out to see us play, and we did some showcases and ended up getting a record deal.
good times and great memories, it sounds like. How long have you been writing? Like, when did you write your first song?
I don't really know. I remember my dad tried to get us piano lessons, and when I was real young, maybe in junior high, but I never learned to read music because I would tape all of my lessons, and then I would learn them by ear. So I kind of faked my way through piano lessons, and I was in junior high, and I remember trying to write my first song then on the piano, and then I gave that up, and my mom bought me my first guitar when I was about 16 in Mexico. So and I think I played my first live show at Mal Crosby's there in Del Rio, across from Del Rio in Acuna.
Oh, cool. Oh,
so
I
I
love
think
that.
it was sometime around then that I probably wrote my first song on guitar.
Del
Around
Rio
16.
Del Rio is such a pretty area. I was over that way probably about 6 months ago or so, and it's just breathtaking once you get on that other side of Del Rio. But anyway, back to the music. So first of all, I want to talk about a few songs and highlight a few. You go like I remember the first time I previewed Dixie Rose Deluxes. Tell me about writing that song.
So I think there's an actual place in somewhere out here in the South, and I'm trying to remember. I just drew a blank on the guy's name, but I wrote. Let me think, man. What's his name? Oh my gosh, he's written a million songs. I'll have to think of it here in a second. I see his face and I forgot his name. He's written a million songs. Oh. Anyway, but there's actually a place in I think East Tennessee, or there was, called Dixie Rose Deluxes, and so that's kind of thematically what the song's about. But when I grew up there in Dickens County, if you've ever gone from Dallas to Lubbock and you drive through Dickens, Texas, there's a little place called the Ponderosa, and it's famous for their barbecue. And there was a girl, and I don't even know who she was really, but I think she went to school in Spur, Texas. And so I would go there, and she was just I had a crush on this girl, and so I would just go in there and kind of just to see the girl, not really to buy anything. I would make an excuse to buy something. So that's kind of what the song's about. I think all those little small town stores like that, they have a little bit of everything in them, because where we're 80 miles from the nearest supermarket, Walmart. So anyway, that's what the story's about. And we shot the video here in Tennessee. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. My dog, my old blue heeler dog Blue, is in that video, and it's just a really cool, really fun song.
Oh, it's such a fun song. And so is Cold Beer and a Fishing Pole, which is my life. I'm usually fishing. The Good Life, but then On Again Tonight. That is such a ooh la la song. Just, I loved when that song came out.
Yeah, I had a lot of sort of, I don't know, manly songs like, Dixie Rose and Beer Man and things like that. When we cut On Again Tonight, that was sort of life changing. I think before, my typical crowd, man, I keep losing you. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, where we at? There we go. Maybe I can get this to stand up. Stand up there.
Behave.
Behave. Yeah, I think before On Again Tonight, most of my songs were, sort of targeted towards the male audience, like Beer Man and such. And so I think our typical crowd was, these big 250-pound linebacker looking dudes that were on the front row. And when we cut On Again Tonight, it all changed in a good way. So, I had beautiful women on the front row singing along to my song. And so it kind of, it really changed the way I write songs too, because I realized, yeah, I'm a guy and I want to sing about guy stuff, but we need to be writing songs for the ladies, because they're the reason that the guys show up to the show in the first place. Mm-hmm. Another reason we drink beer. So anyway, it really changed. Go ahead.
Go ahead. It really changed.
Yeah, it really changed the way that I think about songwriting, and when I'm producing, with these other artists, sometimes I'll think about, it's fun to have rowdy beer drinking songs for the guys, but if you really want to hit song, you got to write something that's targeted for the women, and that's just the way the world is.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me because I'm such a upbeat, drinking, dancing, fun, outdoors, country kind of music person, especially when I did a morning show. I just always try to keep it upbeat, and there's not a lot of ballads that I'll actually take the time and listen to something, and that's one that's it's awesome.
Right.
And then There Is a God. That's a beautiful, beautiful song.
Thank you. Chris Dubois, and who's the other writer on that? I can't think of the other writer. He actually has written more number one hit country songs than anybody else, and I can't remember his name. I haven't had enough coffee this morning.
I know how that is.
But yeah, that is a great song, and yeah, that's sort of. I'm not a big church going fella. I was raised in church, and but I think I'm just too ADD to sit still for that long. But my church is out here in nature, and I think all of us find God in different ways. But I feel like that's a great song, because if you don't really believe in God, just kind of look around.
That's right.
I'm
Amen.
I'm
For
sitting here
sure.
right now on the back porch. I don't know if you can see, but
I was going to tell you, it's absolutely gorgeous in your background.
there's a waterfall back over here,
Oh,
and this is my
beautiful.
back porch. And we're lucky. We're super blessed to have found this place years ago and bought it before all the real estate went nuts. But it's a beautiful spot to sit and write songs.
Well, of course, if I didn't have all this up for production, if you were looking out my window, back here is East Matagorda Bay.
Oh,
I'm in
well, we'll swap
Matagorda.
out. Take me fishing, and you can come drink a
You
beer on my back
come on,
porch.
you come on anytime. I think you were actually down this way a few years ago.
You bet. In
Yes.
fact, yeah, I have some real good friends that have a have a cabin there in Matagorda. And I've spent a lot of time red fishing out in Matagorda Bay. It's beautiful. I
Well,
love it.
yeah, we'll have to swap fishing stories because I am on it. I am the fishing girl. I love to throw top water. I throw artificial, catch big trout. I love it. It's just like,
Wow.
yeah. We'll catch up on that because I'll start talking fishing and I'll totally get off topic. But let's get back to Texas music. And I was looking at like just going through the roster and the artists that have picked up your songs. And let's start with Kreger. And I have such memories with all of these. Like when I'm ready to drive fast, I'm going to turn it up and play Driving Home from Kreger. And there you go. And here it is Trent Willmon that wrote the songs. And Roadshow, Where the Gringos Don't Go. I remember when he released that album, telling him, we talked about Where the Gringos Don't Go. And that's another one of those kind of ooh la la songs as well. But the one song I want to thank you for is Texas Forever.
Well, thank you. That's yeah. There's a line in there. If ever you were one, then always you'll be. And I've traveled all over this world, but I'll always be a Texan in my heart. I'm whenever I book a Southwest flight back to Texas, I'm going home, in my mind. And I just feel like most Texans, even if you don't live there anymore, it's just kind of that song takes you home. But I do love that song.
Yes. And then Kevin Fowler, of course, he was always Uncle Kevin to my kids. Moving On. And of course, That Girl is one of my all-time favorite songs. Kyle and I were doing our Texas on Tap. It's a Texas chart rap we do weekly. And I love baseball too. So we were talking about walk-up songs last week. And if I had a walk-up song, if I was a baseball player, it would be That Girl.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the huge hits that Cody Johnson, you wrote Wild as You, With You I Am. Tell me about With You I Am.
We wrote that with David Lee. We had a writing session with Cody, and so I think when we started writing this song, it was a little bit less traditional than what Cody would normally do. And so I think while we were writing it, Cody had in his mind we were going to pitch it to another artist. And as his producer, I feel like part of my job is to kind of get you outside of your comfort zone. And so that you're always growing, and you're I never want to force anybody to do something that is not them. But I think that's part of my job is to sort of get you out of your comfort zone so that you're always growing and you're always looking forward to the next record. And it's not just the same record. So anyway, it was just one of those days where, a great song fell out. And I think eventually after Cody sang it, and then we made him sing the demo, and then he's like, you know what, this is a great song. So I think it took him a while to go, you know what, I can pull this off. And of course, it turned out to be a big hit for him. And I think those, up to that point for Cody, a lot of his songs too were very sort of masculine driven songs, but that song was such an impactful thing for the females that it kind of changed the way he sort of looked at stuff too. And at least I feel like it did. And for all of us, we were really we realized that that was a very impactful song. So we're always looking for songs like that and always trying to target right songs that, for the female audience, not just for them, but, we still have to have those rowdy and fun songs as well. But it's eye-opening when you see crowds singing along to certain songs.
Yes.
It changes the way you write songs, because you can I can write a song that I think is wonderful, but until I test drive it on a real live audience, you don't really know how impactful it is. And I think that's the advantage that Texas artists probably have over say, the latest winner of The Voice, is that, these Texas artists, the way they build their career and their audiences, they go out and play every night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real test group. That's not
Mm-hmm.
a panel of 50-year-old fat dudes sitting around guessing. This is real people, boots on the ground. And I think that's why a lot of artists that build their careers organically, they have a longevity to their career, as opposed to, the latest, TikTok star.
Right. And it's a good test to see if they're going to have the stamina to be consistent and to hang in the business. And I love everything that
Yeah.
you're saying, because one of the things, my goal with this podcast is to be, musician friendly and encouraging. And we've had a lot of veterans like you on, and I think it's so good because some of our younger up and comings are picking up on some of the stuff, some of the tips. Like, if there's any advice you could give to a new young Texas artist that's starting out, just a few things, what would it be?
The first thing I think is just wet saddle blankets. I don't think there's any substitute for hard work and getting out there and singing, practicing. You're getting out in front of people. You got to do that. You got to do it and do it and do it and do it till you get great at it. You just put as many miles on your voice and your guitar as you can, mm-hmm. in front of people. I think the other thing is, I'm a big fan of outside songs. I think a lot of times we think we got to write everything, but I think that's a huge mistake. I think the biggest stars in all genres of music have always gone outside to find great music, and Garth wouldn't be Garth, Straight wouldn't be Straight, if he just chose to write everything that he recorded. So you got to go find outside songs. That's something to do when you're a young artist, but you got to co-write. You got to go find great songwriters that know how to write great songs and hit songs, and go write with those guys. And don't just, cut 10 songs because you wrote 10 songs. Go write 200 songs, pick the best, 5 or 6, and then go find you a handful of outside songs.
Oh, love it.
That's my
Absolutely.
advice.
That is great advice. That is golden right there. And so you produce also. What do you not do, Trent? But you also
I don't do algebra.
No, we don't. That's right. I love it. So some of the artists that you've produced.
Just did a project with Win Williams. Love him. He's just, great, traditional kind of artist. Let's see. I got a guy that I've done a couple of records with named Chancey Williams. He's a Wyoming cowboy, ex bronc rider, rancher up in Wyoming. About to do a new project on Emily Ann Roberts. She was on The Voice a few years back. Great kind of bluegrassy singer. I'm trying to think of all the projects I've done. I think I did about 8 projects last year. I did Roger Krager and Kevin Fowler. We did an album called Dos Borrachos.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I've done a couple of other Kevin Fowler albums, and Red Steagall, who I love. He's like my second dad. I love him. He's like family to me, and we just cut a record last year. Let's see. I don't know. Golly, I know I'm forgetting somebody super important, but I can't even. Curtis Grimes, I've done several with him, and on and on. A lot of my guys are Texas artists, and there's a handful of most of my guys are pretty traditional in comparison to what's on top 40 radio nowadays.
Right. And so outside of music, you've also you hosted on GAC the America's Top Cowboy. You were in a movie.
Yes, we did this movie. I don't know how long ago it was. It had to have been over 10 years ago. But Kevin Fowler's in it. Roger Krager's, I think maybe. I know Robert Earl Keen's in it. Anyway.
I gotta look that up. I don't know how I missed that. I don't know where I was.
Well,
how did I miss that?
It was shot down in the Texas Hill Country around Bernie, and it's not Lonesome Dove, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It's like a really old school sort of Western movie. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, so what you got cooking coming up? Like, do you have any shows or vacation for the summer? Or what?
Well, we're just not a lot of shows. I think they've not really picked up. We've got a handful of things coming down the pipe, but it's been a strange last year and a half or so. But still working on this Cody Johnson thing. We're starting our 6th album together, and so that's producing has taken up a lot of my time. But yeah, the new Cody Johnson thing's going to have 18 songs on it, I think.
Exciting.
We got a duet with Willie Nelson, and it's just some wonderful stuff going on with Cody's album, and even we're starting a Christmas album. So Cody's on fire right now. He's the most amazing singer I've ever worked with. And
yes.
So that's taken up a lot of our focus at this moment, but we're about to have it out the door. So I'm excited.
I just thank you so much for taking the time, and I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your music. I have so many memories with your songs that you've recorded, that have been on the radio, that you've written. It's just amazing, and I'm actually getting to visit with you. So before I let you loose, I have one question to ask you.
Okay.
If we always ask this on the podcast, if you were a cocktail, what would you be?
I would be Woodford Reserve double oaked, 1 ice cube.
Okay, there you have it. That's a different one. We haven't had that one yet, Trent. Well, thank you again so much for coming on the podcast, and hopefully I'll see you down the road one day, or come down and come fish.
All right, thanks, Helen. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Thanks, Trent.
With a heavy tongue, she knew where I was from. As she left, I dared to say, well, you can go